Hi everyone.
I hope you are all doing well and that everything in your life is going smoothly. Today, we are diving into a truly fascinating subject, the story of the Achaemenid Empire, one of the most remarkable civilizations in history. The Achaemenid Empire is often remembered as the first great Persian empire, stretching across 3 continents at its height. But beyond size, it stood out because of how it managed diversity, governed vast lands, and created systems that influenced later empires for centuries. It began with a man named Cyrus the Great, who rose to power in the 6th century BC. Unlike many conquerors, Cyrus became known not just for victories on the battlefield, but for the way he treated the people he ruled. When he captured Babylon in 539 BCE, he allowed displaced groups, including the Jewish people, to return to their homelands. This act of tolerance and respect for different cultures and beliefs was rare in ancient times. The empire was named after Achaemenes, a semi-legendary ancestor of Cyrus, though historians agree it was Cyrus who built it into a true world power. Under his leadership, the Persians took over vast territories from Central Asia to the Mediterranean. Cyrus established an approach where local traditions and religions were respected rather than destroyed. This policy became one of the cornerstones of Persian governance. After Cyrus, the empire continued to expand. His son, Cambyses II, conquered Egypt, but it was under Darius III, also called Darius the Great, that the Achaemenid Empire reached its peak. Darius reorganized the empire into provinces called satrapies, each ruled by a satrap or governor. This system made administration more efficient and allowed the Persians to maintain control over such an enormous area. Before we move to our today, I want to say that this channel is user-friendly, no offensive content,
No misinformation.
We explain things with respect, curiosity, and authenticity. The empire's capital cities, Pasargadae, Susa, Persepolis, and Ecbatana, were not just centers of government, but symbols of Persian power and culture. Persepolis in particular, with its grand stairways and monumental reliefs, was a ceremonial capital designed to impress both visitors and subjects. The Persians also built one of the most impressive infrastructures of their time, the Royal Road, which stretched over 1,500 miles and connected distant parts of the empire. Along this road, relay stations allowed messengers to carry information at a speed unmatched by other ancient states. This communication system was so efficient that the Greek historian Herodotus compared it to modern postal services. The Achaemenids also standardized weights, measures, and coinage, helping trade flourish across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This economic network connected regions from the Indus Valley to the Nile and beyond, turning Persia into the center of a global exchange system. As the Achaemenid Empire expanded, it became not only the largest empire of its time, but also one of the most diverse. From the mountains of Anatolia to the fertile valleys of Mesopotamia, to the deserts of Egypt and the plains of Central Asia, all were linked under Persian rule. One of the most fascinating aspects of this empire was how it managed so many peoples and traditions. The Persians did not try to erase identities. Instead, they respected them and often incorporated local elites into their administration. This approach gave stability and loyalty, something other empires often struggled with. The satrapy system introduced by Darius was crucial. Each satrap or governor had authority over taxation, law, and defense. But to prevent rebellion, the great king sent royal inspectors known as the king's eyes and ears to monitor local officials. This balance of power kept the empire both centralized and flexible. Another brilliant feature was the use of Aramaic as the administrative language. While Persians had their own tongue, Aramaic was already widespread across the Near East. By adopting it, they made communication much smoother across their vast territories. Religion in the Achaemenid Empire was also unique. The royal family followed Zoroastrianism, a faith centered on the teachings of Zoroaster, with its emphasis on truth, order, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. But the Persians did not impose their religion. Instead, they allowed Egyptians to honor their gods, Greeks to worship their deities, and Mesopotamians to maintain their ancient temples. This policy of tolerance made the empire feel less like an oppressor
and more like a guardian of traditions.
Persian kings also displayed power through monumental projects. Darius began constructing the grand ceremonial capital at Persepolis. Its massive terraces, relief carvings, and audience halls were not meant only for daily government business. They were built to impress ambassadors from across the empire, reminding them of the wealth and unity of Persian rule. Art and architecture reflected the empire's diversity. Reliefs at Persepolis show delegations from dozens of nations bringing gifts. Each group is depicted in its native clothing and hairstyles, a visual statement of the empire's acceptance of many cultures. The Achaemenids also developed advanced economic systems. They minted the famous gold Daric coin, which became widely trusted in trade. Merchants, farmers, and artisans all benefited from the stability that Persian rule created across such a wide region. But while Persia enjoyed stability and prosperity internally, it also faced challenges from the outside. The empire's size made it powerful, yet it also drew the attention of ambitious rivals. One of the greatest of these rivalries was with the city-states of Greece. This conflict began during the reign of Darius. Some Greek cities in Asia Minor rebelled against Persian rule. The wars with Greece became one of the most famous episodes in Achaemenid history. In 490 BCE, Darius launched a campaign to punish Athens for supporting uprisings in Asia Minor. This led to the legendary Battle of Marathon, where a smaller Greek force surprised the Persians and won. Although Persia still remained powerful, this defeat was a reminder that geography and tactics could overcome sheer numbers. After Darius, his son Xerxes I took the throne. Xerxes is remembered for his massive invasion of Greece in 480 BCE. He gathered one of the largest armies the ancient world had ever seen, supported by a fleet that crossed into Europe using bridges of boats. The battles of Thermopylae, Salamis, and Plataea became turning points. Despite their immense resources, the Persians were eventually forced to withdraw. These wars did not destroy the empire, but they revealed its limits. Persia remained dominant in Asia, yet Greece proved it could not be easily subdued. Ironically, the wars also gave the Greek world a shared identity, one that later helped Alexander of Macedon unite them against Persia. Despite setbacks in Greece, the Achaemenid Empire thrived for another century. It remained a hub of science, agriculture, and administration. Persian engineers built canals in Egypt, improving irrigation and linking the Nile to the Red Sea. They developed qanats, underground water channels that carried fresh water to dry regions, a system still admired today. Cultural exchanges also flourished. Persian elites wore Median clothing, adopted Babylonian astronomy,
and interacted with Indian scholars.
Their empire became a bridge through which ideas, trade, and technologies traveled. The military too reflected this diversity. The famed immortals, an elite corps of 10,000 soldiers, were kept at full strength at all times. Whenever one fell, another immediately replaced him. They symbolized the empire's resilience and discipline. Religion and philosophy also left a deep mark. Zoroastrian concepts of truth, justice, and cosmic duality influenced not only Persian rule, but also later spiritual traditions. Some historians note parallels between Zoroastrian teachings and later Abrahamic religions. Though Persia never forced conversions, art continued to flourish. At Persepolis, processional reliefs showed ambassadors from India, Egypt, Nubia, and beyond,
offering tribute to the great king.
This visual record speaks of a world empire that saw itself not as a single culture, but as a gathering of many peoples under one crown. By the 4th century BCE, internal struggles began to weaken Persia. Royal succession disputes, the cost of maintaining vast armies, and the challenge of governing far-off lands slowly eroded the empire's unity. By the time Artaxerxes III tried to restore order, the empire was still wealthy and powerful, but its foundations were less secure. This fragility set the stage for a new conqueror who would change the world.
Alexander the Great.
The final chapter of the Achaemenid Empire unfolded in the 330s BC. By this time, the once mighty empire was strained by internal divisions,
Rivalries at court.
and challenges on its distant frontiers. It was during this fragile period that Alexander of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great,
Launched his famous campaign.
At first, the Persians underestimated him. They had faced Greek armies before and had survived even large invasions. But Alexander's speed, tactics, and determination were unlike anything Persia had faced. In 333 BCE, at the Battle of Issus, he defeated King Darius III. Later, in 331 BC, the decisive clash at Gaugamela sealed Persia's fate. Despite having a larger army, Darius's forces were outmaneuvered. The great king fled the battlefield, and soon after, the empire's core cities
Fell one by one.
Alexander entered Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis.
At Persepolis, a fire broke out.
Some say it was accidental. Others claim it was deliberate revenge for earlier Persian invasions of Greece. Whatever the cause, the burning of Persepolis marked the symbolic end of Achaemenid grandeur. With the death of Darius III in 330 BCE, the Achaemenid dynasty ended, yet the legacy of Persia lived on. The empire had pioneered a system of administration, communication, and cultural tolerance that influenced countless rulers after. Rome borrowed many Persian practices, from road networks to provincial governance. Even modern ideas of diplomacy and respect for diversity echo the Achaemenid model. Historians often describe it as the world's first true superpower, a state that connected peoples from the Indus to the Aegean, from the Nile to the Caucasus. Its achievements in governance, architecture, infrastructure, and philosophy make it one of the cornerstones of human history. The memory of Cyrus the Great
Remains especially important.
He is remembered not only as a conqueror, but as a ruler who respected freedom and diversity, values that continue to inspire leaders today. All the information we provide comes from verified historical sources, including books, records, and archaeology. Some major references include Herodotus's histories, the Cyrus cylinder preserved at the British Museum, Persepolis excavation records, scholarship by Pierre Brian in From Cyrus to Alexander, and archaeological findings in Pasargadae in Susa. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Thrones of Knowledge. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified on time. Suggest our next topic in the comments to help make our journey even better.